The millionaire pastor Bishop Lamor Whitehead, life is over after this recent court verdict. A lot of us discovered who Bishop Lamor Whitehead was right around the same time. We found out when he went viral for being robbed during a church sermon, where robbers came in and stole $1 million worth of jewelry from off his body.
When I laid down on the floor, when the young men came and put the gun to my back, as y'all see on the video, they took my watch, took my jewelry, took my bishop's ring, and then they took my bishop's cross, and he ripped my collar off just to get to my jewelry.
When the robbery footage was going viral and then he told us how much they stole from him, a lot of us was skeptical because Bishop Lamor Whitehead was a pastor of a church that included 48 people that was usually empty. Like, his services usually had about 15 people in attendance. So how could he afford $1 million in jewelry? Right? And why would he wear $1 million in jewelry to church? Especially because his church was in the hood. Now, a lot of people was smelling something funny and thought he probably paid those dudes to come and rob him or pretend to rob him so he could file an insurance claim and then over-appraise his jewelry. So his jewelry is probably worth like $20,000. He would have told them folks it was worth $1 million to get some money back, right? A scam. So, but nobody could really prove it, so we sort of forgot about it, and Bishop Lamor Whitehead was sort of a sympathetic figure for getting robbed on live stream, as a pastor of a church conducting a sermon. But then the sympathy went away fairly quickly because people started to realize there were some character flaws with Bishop Lamor Whitehead. See, a video went viral of him attacking a woman in church that people wasn't feeling at all.
While they take pictures and they want to be on social media, take the pictures, take the pictures, take the pictures, take the pictures, take the pictures. Okay, now go over here, grab her out, grab her out. Now you're gonna grab her out, grab her out.
That was Bishop Lamor M. Whitehead at his church in Brooklyn, New York this past Sunday, where he was giving a sermon, and he says a woman who was being disruptive then walked up to him, and he said he felt threatened by this woman, he and his wife and his child. So part of this was captured on surveillance video. Let's take a look.
Yeah, come on up here. Come on up here. I'm going to make you famous.
Pastors are human too, but people are expecting a pastor who is leading a congregation, who is a man of God, to have a bit more discipline than what Bishop Lamor Whitehead exercised. Now, he would give an explanation as to why he attacked the lady, despite the fact that he invited her up.
I keep saying that I invite her in the pulpit. You have to be a minister to be in the pulpit in my church. So she came on the side, and she began to yell at me. She began to cuss me out and say whatever she wanted to say. I let her say what she wanted to say, and I'm going to be posting more video because you guys didn't see the video inside of the church. What you guys don't see on camera is that she started to walk back to leave, and then she spit back around. And she came back after my wife and my daughter. So I have my wife and my daughter, who's 10 months old, sitting there, and she came and said, and now you're a liar, going towards my wife. And that's when you see her walk in front of me, going at my wife and my daughter, and I grabbed her.
His explanation didn't earn him any new supporters. People were not happy with his explanation at all. They actually felt it was like an excuse, and they was pissed. So the sympathy that he once had from the public and, the beloved persona he once had was absolutely gone, bro. People were turning on this dude right and left. Seeing how undisciplined he is and how violent he is sort of added to the laundry list of things that people were skeptical about regarding Bishop Lamor Whitehead. Right? Now, people were extremely skeptical because he didn't carry himself like a pastor, talk like a pastor, act like a pastor, and he didn't live like a pastor. The dude was boastful, braggadocious. Like, the dude manned a church full of 48, I guess, official members, but only about 10 to 15 show up on a given Sunday. But this dude somehow had a Rolls Royce and had a mansion, and he wasn't shy about showing off his wealth. I don't care what y'all say, but this is straight Pookie behavior. He's recorded himself at the Louis store walking out with bags. Like, why are you a pastor and this boastful and braggadocious, bro? Like, why are you this vain? congregation, nor us who was just watching from an outside perspective, didn't know at the time, but him being boastful and braggadocious was the least of our worries when dealing with Bishop Lamor Whitehead. Now, a lot of people were wondering and pressing the issue of trying to know, where is his wealth coming from? Dude doesn't own a big church. Like, he's not receiving enough donations to be living in a $4.5 million mansion and have, $500,000 cars. Where is his wealth coming from? Well, the next debacle for Bishop Lamor Whitehead, which are civil lawsuits, would expose exactly where his money is coming from, and it wasn't coming from an ethical place. An elderly lady called Pauline, who became a new member of Bishop Lamar's church, would expose him. You see, she was only in his church for about 4 months before he would approach her with, in hindsight, what would be a scam.
And him. 4 months after joining the church, Pauline underwent a major surgery and received a get-well-soon phone call from the pastor. Just a few months later, Pauline received another call from the man, and this time he wanted to talk about money. Pauline had always wanted to buy herself a home for her and her family, but her credit score had taken some hits over the years, and she was turned down by every lender she approached. Despite having a deposit saved, she was never able to secure a loan. Enter her savior, Lamor Whitehead. Lamor told her about his experience with mortgage broking and offered her a solution to her credit problem. In exchange for her deposit, he would buy a home in her name through his company, Lamor Whitehead, Inc. Lamor assured Pauline that her deposit would cover the house and any repairs it needed, and would also leave a little bit left over, which he would return to her with some interest.
His initial proposal to her was confusing and should have alerted a lot of red flags. He promised her that he would return her some of the money with interest, but why would he need to give her interest if he was only using her money to purchase a home? But she didn't catch the red flag because she was really desperate. She wanted a home and didn't have the credit to purchase a home, but she had a lot of cash to do so. And people like Bishop Lamor Whitehead, they prey on people who are in a bad spot, and they prey on the vulnerable and the desperate, which would appear to be what he did.
Pauline had no job after having surgery, and the deposit was everything she had to her name, including her retirement fund. Although Lamor had helped her son buy a home, she was still cautious of doing business with the bishop. To put her worries to rest, Lamor offered her a $100 monthly stipend, which he would pay until she moved into her new home. That promise did the trick, and on the 30th of November 2020, Pauline wrote a check to Lamor's business for $90,000. For 6 months, Pauline never received a single $100 monthly stipend and heard nothing about her new home despite constantly contacting Lamor for an update. Every time she did manage to get through to him, he would tell her he was too busy with his campaign running for Brooklyn Borough President. By mid-2021, Pauline suspected that there was never going to be any house.
This is some really bold stuff from this dude. He scammed her 4 months after she joined his church. That's insane. Now, he was moving and ignoring her as if she didn't know where his church was or as if she didn't know people who were in the congregation. It's as if he was dependent on her being bedridden and super sick and ill and too tired to chase around, him for her deposit, right? Now, check it, though. Now, here's the thing, right? So while he's ignoring her, though, the dude is purchasing other homes. Now, apparently because him and her son has done business in the past, he accidentally forwarded her son some documents that shows that he just put down a huge deposit on a $4 million home. That deposit could cover the money that he owed Miss Pauline.
But she knew for sure this was the case when her son received an interesting email from Lamor. Pauline had been introduced to Lamor by her son, Rashid. Rashid had supported his mom in investing in Lamor's company, but when he realized Pauline was being scammed, he was the one who attempted to convince Lamor to give the money back. Rashid repeatedly texted and emailed Lamor until one day he got a reply, but it wasn't the reply he expected. Lamor had accidentally sent an email regarding a down payment on a $4.5 million home in Saddle River to Rashid. The email outlined some details about the down payment on the home. The amount discussed would have been more than enough to repay his mother's investment. But when he told Lamor about the email and demanded that he return Pauline's money, he received a text from Lamor that said, quote, "I'm in awe of how the devil is using you. However, I knew it was coming. Now beware of the hand of judgment will hit your life and everything that's connected to you. And for the record, anything that was given to me is a donation unless it's attached to a contract. I was making investments. That's what I do."
This scumbag is now telling Pauline's son that Pauline gave him a donation and it wasn't an investment, which is clearly a lie, right? Because why would she give you $90,000, everything she has in her life savings, just as a donation? Like, stop it, bro. But he was pretty much playing with this family and playing with Pauline, and he forced their hand into just outright suing him.
In 2021, a federal lawsuit was filed against Lamor Whitehead for his part in fleecing Pauline of her life savings. But it wasn't only Pauline that he had taken advantage of. The lawsuit also indicted Lamor on charges of using force to try and get a businessman to pay him $5,000. Lamor also attempted to get the same businessman to lend him $500,000 and give him a stake in high-end real estate transactions.
So not only did he scam Miss Pauline out of $90,000, but he tried to extort a businessman by the name of Brandon out of like $500,000 and other perks and privileges. So they sued Bishop Lamor Whitehead for fraud. Now here's the thing. After they filed a civil suit, the civil suit wasn't even concluded. But apparently the feds seen enough to where they say, yeah, bro, you on some F-ish, bro. And they filed a criminal indictment on Bishop Lamor Whitehead.
The Brooklyn pastor who made headlines when he was robbed of expensive jewelry during a live-streamed church service has been indicted on federal charges.
Among the allegations against Lamor Whitehead, that he scammed a parishioner out of $90,000. And as CBS 2's Christina Fan reports, this isn't his first time in trouble with the law.
A normally flashy Bishop Lamor Whitehead was silent outside federal court as his attorney denied all fraud allegations against him. Good evening. The Brooklyn pastor, known for delivering sermons in designer suits and lavish jewels at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries, is being accused by federal prosecutors of obtaining part of his wealth illegally.
Bishop Lamor Whitehead is not guilty of these charges. We are vigorously going to defend these accusations.
According to an unsealed indictment, Whitehead asked for money and other things of value from victims using threats and false promises. He allegedly convinced a parishioner to invest $90,000 of her retirement savings with him, but spent it all on himself. He is also accused of extorting a businessman of $5,000, then convincing the victim to lend him $500,000 more and give him a stake in real estate transactions in return for favors from the city government, which Whitehead knew he could not obtain.
Bishop Lamar had a real close friendship with Mayor Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. So he will leverage their relationship to get money out of people and promising them favors from the city government that he wouldn't deliver on because he was just lying and saying whatever to extract money from out of people. And that caught up with him.
The bishop was arrested Monday morning and pleaded not guilty in court before he was released on a $500,000 bond.
After the indictment, his church took a really big hit. He would claim that he lost about 95% of his members due to the false claims from the media. Now, he will go ahead and try to do damage control, but even in his interview after being indicted, he couldn't answer basic questions. So they would ask him, yo, where did your money come from? He will say his money came from real estate.
When I think about the fact that you have access to millions potentially of dollars in clothing, cars, and then when you add your home, you have the life of a multi-millionaire. Where do you get your money from?
Well, you know, I am an entrepreneur, man. I'm very, I've been doing real estate over 20 years. And I do a lot of other legal things. I want to clear that up. And, I take that from the Bible. The Bible says, God says to inherit the land. Also,
Like what? Like what though? Give me some specifics. Give me some specifics, bro. Because people be like what? You do real estate? And when you say real estate, you mean flipping properties? You mean you have rentals?
Yeah,
how do you get money on real estate?
Real estate is multifaceted. You know, you can flip properties, which I do, rentals, which I do. We into purchasing land, developing on land.
Then they will ask him, okay, is this public record? Can somebody go online and see that you own real estate? And he would say, yeah, if they knew my corporations. Then they ask, okay, what are your corporations? And he would say he doesn't want to give that answer.
When people check the public record, they'll be able to see that you buy and own property, commercial or residential. They'll be able to see that you flip property. They'll be able to see that you have an event. This is transparent and fully accessible to the public. Is that fair to say?
Of course it's transparent, but however, you have to understand that when you buy investment properties, you don't buy it under your name. You buy it in corporation. So, unless you know who owns.
What corporation is yours under?
I can't get into all that, Mark, man, because I'm already being targeted, man. You want me to get here and put all my business out there, man? They already.
I gotta ask.
They targeted me enough, man, and I don't want to keep putting my information out.
All right. Look,
that right there is just lingo for it, nigga. I'm scamming. Now I don't know what y'all expected. Like y'all really expected a pastor who behaves like a rapper to be on the up and up? Stop it. Now, as it pertains to his fraud charges, he'll respond back by saying that he was set up.
You were also charged in December of 2022 with fraud, extortion, and making false statements. The
indictment is public records, brother, and I really don't want to get into that. As per my attorneys, I really can't tap into the indictment, nor can I tap into the case. But what I can tap into is that I was set up. That's what I can tap into.
By who? Who set you up?
Well, if you read the New Yorker,
who set you up?
His name is clear as day, Brandon Belmonte. And he went to the federal agents, the feds, and told them nothing but lies about myself and the mayor. And I need y'all to understand that this is not really about Bishop Whitehead, but this is all political. And this is to take down our second black mayor of New York City. He knew that Mayor Adams was my mentor, and if you read the New Yorker, he said that the mayor of New York is trying to extort him, and that's what started everything. He went to the feds and told them a lie about the mayor of New York, and the feds picked it up, and they believed his lies.
The guy Brandon himself is kind of sketchy, so he thought he found a plug to the mayor, and he thought he could pay his way into favors from the city. But Mayor Eric Adams isn't really as corrupt as Bishop Lamar. So Bishop Lamar is the corrupt one and he's the criminal. He was just being mentored by Mayor Eric Adams. So Brandon thought he could buy himself favors from Mayor Eric Adams through Bishop Lamar, but Lamar was just taking the money and keeping Brandon on skates. Eventually, Brandon had enough and told the FBI, yo, bro, like, I'm being extorted by Mayor Eric Adams. But he thought that Mayor Eric Adams and Bishop Lamar was in cahoots when in fact it was just Bishop Lamar taking his money. So that's why Mayor Eric Adams is coming into play. But this is not no witch hunt against Mayor Eric Adams. It's just a misunderstanding because Bishop Lamar was taking money under the guise of he's gonna, orchestrate or middleman the favor between Eric Adams and this dude with some cash. Now, Bishop Lamar was real confident that he was gonna be found not guilty. He says he was innocent, but his confidence came to an end when he was found guilty on all charges yesterday.
Lamor Whitehead facing decades in prison after a jury convicted him today on federal charges, including wire fraud and attempted extortion. Prosecutors say he ripped off a parishioner's retirement savings, and tonight her family is speaking for the first time to News 4's Chris Jose.
It's been an emotional roller coaster for the past 4 years.
Rashid Anderson relieved tonight following the conviction of Lamor Whitehead, better known as the Bling Bishop for his lavish lifestyle. A Manhattan federal jury today finding Whitehead guilty of defrauding a parishioner and trying to extort a businessman.
It's been a long time coming, and we're very happy to see that the verdict was guilty today.
Rashid's mother, Pauline Anderson, invested $90,000 of her retirement savings with Whitehead. Prosecutors said he spent the money on luxury goods at Louis Vuitton and Foot Locker and even used Anderson's money to make his car payments. Rashid testified during the trial. You and your mother trusted this guy.
Yeah, we trusted him a lot.
Whitehead not yet publicly commenting on his conviction, which also includes charges that he tried to force a Bronx businessman to lend him $500,000 while promising access to Mayor Adams. Whitehead claimed he knows the mayor on a personal level, the bishop going to social media after his arrest in December 2022.
Just because you was arrested doesn't make you guilty.
This is one of those dudes who just don't know when to give up. See, his motto before he was found guilty was just because you were arrested doesn't mean you're guilty. And now his motto is just because you're found guilty doesn't mean you're guilty. Here is his laughable excuse for why he was found guilty on all charges in a court of law.
Why was Bishop Whitehead on trial? This was not about Bishop Whitehead, y'all. This was politically driven. This was about Mayor Eric Adams, okay? And let me explain this to you. Everybody knows that me and the mayor were close. He was a mentor of mine. On June the 8th, the FBI came to my house and said to me that I wasn't arrested. I wasn't under arrest, but they had a search warrant to take my phone. Within the search warrant had everything to do with the mayor. See, these are the things that you guys don't know. And what they said to me was, we don't want you. We want the mayor of New York. That's what happened. This was politically driven. You to understand that I am innocent. 10 toes down, y'all. 10 toes down. The bishop is 10 toes down. And I know it looked crazy right now. I know I was found guilty, but there's more to the story. There's more to the story. And I just want y'all to understand. We need to be praying for our leaders. Pray for me, y'all. Even if you feel that I've done something wrong, pray for me. But I will not be an informant against the mayor of New York. And that's just what it was.
Those are the words of somebody who's guilty. Now, they're talking about putting this dude behind bars for decades. His only hope, as far as I'm concerned, is if Mayor Eric Adams runs for governor and wins, I guess he could pardon him. Outside of that, bruh, he's cooked, right? Because he's not showing no remorse, right? He's still boastful. He's still braggadocious. He's still in denial. So if he's not apologetic, how do you go in front of a judge and ask for leniency? He's cooked and he's out of here, man. But y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? And if you're still watching, click on this video somewhere on my screen to find out why Andrew Tate's career is over after this recent indictment. Click on this video here to find out why Andrew Tate's career is over after this recent arrest. Click on this video here. I'm going to see you guys in this video, right? I'm out of here, folks.